Hello, Asia, and hello, world. The Asia Network for Free Elections launched in 2025 the third iteration of its Media Fellowship program on reporting elections, which focused on the Myanmar junta staged elections. Since the military staged a coup in 2021, after the 2020 general election, the Myanmar junta is organizing elections in three phases. The first one done on December 28, 2025, the second on January 11, 2026, and the third this coming January 2025, 2026. The elections are being staged amid ongoing armed conflict, human rights violations, and restrictive electoral environments. First launched in 2022, ANFREL's Media Fellowship Program on election reporting equips journalists from independent news outlets and freelance journalists in empowering the electorate through crucial reporting of underrepresented voices and underreported issues during elections. With the theme Narratives and Voices in Myanmar's Democratic Struggle, the third ANFREL Media Fellowship on Election Reporting shed light on the plight of the people of Myanmar amid the junta's staged elections. In Season 3, Episode 1 of the Election Observer podcast, we'll talk to the media fellows on reporting the Myanmar junta's staged elections and the challenges they faced in shedding light on what's happening in Myanmar. Yes, you heard that right. We're back for the third season of the Election Observer podcast. Can you believe it? I'm your host, John Antigera, and we are live via ANFRO's Facebook and LinkedIn pages, as well as via ANFRO's YouTube channel. The episodes of the Election Observer podcast can also be streamed later on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Joining us in this episode are ANFREL Media Fellows Natapob Sungkate from Thailand and
Hi.
Tarushi Aswani from India. Let me add Tarushi. Hello, Kun Pod and Tarushi. Welcome to the Election Observer podcast.
Okay, do you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can
Okay.
hear you. I hope you can also hear me as well.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's start. No, I wanted to introduce you guys a bit more. I think because the topic for this particular edition of the ANFREL Media Fellowship Program is quite sensitive. We didn't do much publicity on it, but we also as part of the fellowship, no, we published the stories produced under it. So we were able to share the stories that you produced for it. But I wanted also our audience to let them know more about you. So I wanted to ask you, how did you become a journalist, and what sparked your interest in journalism? Who would like to go first?
I think I can start first.
Sure.
My name is Nathapop Sangket. I am from Thailand, from Bangkok, and I became a journalist in 2021 or 22. Actually, I had a degree in business degree, so it's not related with the journalist at all. But I think the situation that time in Thailand, we had the COVID, and also we had the protest. The young people went out to they want the democracy. In that time, I just decided I want to tell the story. So I became a journalist for 1 year, and then I left and I went to study English language in India 1 year, and then when I came back, I became the independent journalist on 2020, I think 23, and start from that time, I always cover about migration, refugee. Most of the topic is come from the Myanmar side, but it affect in Thailand. Yes.
I see. How about you, Tarushi?
So I started writing for independent news outlets in 2019. So my journey as a journalist has been because of my interest in human rights. Essentially, I have a degree in journalism, but also in conflict and peace, also in global studies, and also in refugee law. So all the things that piqued my interest soon became my beats of writing. And I like to focus on human centered stories rather than, making stories very much about jargons and procedures. It's always good to have humans as your center point while telling stories, because it's a pattern that we are documenting in time and history. And if we like do
Mm-hmm.
not write it, or if we let go of how humans especially are affected out of all of that is happening around the world, we are missing a crucial point in news, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's good. It's nice to hear that, of course, that at the center of your reporting is the people, of course, and the stories that they have to tell, and the struggles of the people as well. No, as I've mentioned earlier, as part of the media fellowship program, the fellows had the opportunity to produce election-related stories, particularly because this edition of the fellowship is focused on the Myanmar elections. So, through the fellowship, you were able to produce election-related stories on Myanmar. Can you tell us more about the stories you published and why is it important to tell that story? Maybe we can go with Tarushi first.
Okay, so the story I produced is called Between Junta and Democracy, and how India is balancing a very risky standpoint while it openly calls itself the mother of democracy, yet it's been found very complicitly silent on whatever's been happening. So I'll give you a very recent outtake. So the ambassador who visited Myanmar recently, his name is Randir Jaiswal, and he spoke to senior number three from Myanmar, and he met with them. There were photographs and everything. He recently held a
Mhm,
press briefing, right? So,
mhm,
in that, he was asked a question about the elections in Myanmar. He did not have a very, how should I say, a very precise statement on it. Rather, he said, we support, India supports rather, free and fair elections. So, but
mhm,
there is no information on what their standards parameters of free and fair elections are. So essentially
yes.
that's what I wrote while speaking to Rohingya refugees, who have been the marker of human rights whenever Myanmar is talked about
Mhm,
internationally, right? If
yes.
you hear Myanmar, Rohingya refuge has become synonymous of the kind of human rights violations that have been happening, not to forget the internal human rights violations as well.
Mhm,
So even on that, I think yesterday I read a piece which said that the representatives of the Arakan army have said that they are not happy with the kind of standpoint India has taken about the
mhm,
elections, which have been widely called the sham elections. So when
mhm,
we're talking about the story I did and the experts I spoke to, all of them unanimously in their various sort of lenses and perspectives and ideologies signaled that India's silence comes with a heavy geopolitical and very financial benefit that they will get off of Myanmar if they continue to support the junta silently as they have done for the last very many years.
mhm, mhm. Um, I guess just for context to our audience, I'm assuming that people already know this, of course, but Thailand and India share a border with Myanmar. That's why their particular foreign policy regarding what's happening in Myanmar is, of course, important. No, because um, as we've also noted, because of the ongoing conflict in Myanmar, some of those seeking refuge have gone through uh, Thailand and India as well. No, which also is the focus of the story that you produced, Natapov. No, can you also tell us about that story that you published?
Uh, my article, the title is how Myanmar election shape live in Thailand, and I public with
Mhm.
the Pasha Thai English and also Pasha Thai in Thai version.
Yes.
I think when when I had to pitching right the story idea to ANFREL, and I think my started point it I think I could not tell the story what happened in Myanmar because I am outside Myanmar, but the thing that I think I can focus is the impact. And as we know, right, in Thailand now we hold at least 3 million Myanmar people. I mean, at least legal, but we don't know illegal, right? The number. Some people say it can up to 6 million Myanmar people in
Mhm.
Thailand. and we share the border like more than 3,000 kilometer border with Myanmar. So I think as a, I mean, I would like to talk as a Thai people. I think we need to know, right, what happened in our next door. You know, Myanmar is our neighbor, right? And then we need to focus. And I I think the the point that in my report try to bring the attention from the Thai audience is it try to tell them that what the effect that, you know, after the election, what it effect that can be affect Thailand in many way, right? I mean,
Mhm.
to be honest, if, as you know, I think in the beginning I don't have so much knowledge, but after I have been talking with many experts, and they all agree that after this election, Myanmar will keep fighting. You know, like it no peaceful for the people. And what it does mean, it means we in Thailand we will have more left people or refugee come from Myanmar. And I think it's a bit difficult for Thai society, that because now I think the, you know, the nationalism is grow up very fast. And I, I I have seen a lot of the, you know, like anti migrant. Even, you know, I would like to give example in yesterday they have one news that like one Myanmar migrant worker have fight with the with the rider, you know, with the Thai people. And then only,
Mhm.
you know, like individual fight, but the the nationalism can, you know, like they make like disinformation and misinformation to make only one story become like, okay, now we have too much Myanmar people, so we not welcome them at all, something like that.
Mhm.
So for me, it's really good to let the audience know what happened and why the Myanmar people come to Thailand. And uh, I think the one thing that Elijah, when I try to, you know, summarize with myself and try to uh, I think when as a journalist, I think, and I try to compare, you know, like Thailand as a, how can I say, like one house, right? We have one house, and
Mhm.
then beside our house is a Myanmar, and now I think
Yeah.
Myanmar is on fire, right? I mean, how can
Mhm.
Thai people live peacefully? And, you know, like I think some Thai people they pretending that uh it's okay. We don't have we should not, you know, like involve, or, you know, we should not
Yes.
try to learn or try to understand what happened in Myanmar because it's not our
Mhm.
country. But for me, it, I think opposite side. I think we Thai people need to learn and need to know and understanding what happened in Myanmar, especially in the election this time, because it's really important
Yes.
for Thai people. And that's why that I published this story. And yeah, we hope that at least more Thai people can understand what happened in Myanmar, and what can be happen after the election. It will be effect in Thailand.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. No, your neighbor. Would you ignore the house of your neighbor that's under fire, and pretend like nothing's happening? No, and I think that's what's the case. That's a good picture of what really is the case with India, Myanmar, and Thailand, because you have a country that's undergoing conflict under a military junta, and the approach of India and Thailand would matter as to how the situation in Myanmar would be resolved. But just going back as a follow-up question, no, because Tarushi has mentioned that India has expressed that they support free and fair election, and obviously a lot of groups have assessed independently the situation in Myanmar as having opposite of that situation because of the restrictions and many other uh, conditions in Myanmar that gives a sign that the conduct of the elections are contrary to the standards of free and fair elections. No, but you've also both mentioned that at the heart of the stories that you tell are people. And I remember reading the story of Natapop about the Myanmar migrant workers reluctant to vote or would not want to vote, but then of course they know the repercussions of that in terms of the safety, not just them but also their families in Myanmar. But just a follow up question, no. in terms of how it affects the people that you've talked to in the in the situation in Myanmar, and particularly with the elections, no, what have been their reaction aside from not being able to vote, not going to vote? What has been their uh, outlook or I guess opinion about what's happening, particularly in the elections in Myanmar?
You want me to start first, right?
Yes, please.
Okay. I have been talking with around 4 or 5 Myanmar people in Thai, and but I try to divide like not in the same category. But I think
Mm-hmm.
the first one I have been talking is the man. He he is around 40 years old, working in the bank industry, and he not like really political, person, but he's just normal people. And I mean, he told me that he not agree with the election, but for him, it's he cannot do nothing, like because the safety is not about him only, but it's about his family in Yangon in Myanmar. I mean, he afraid that, okay, example, if he decided he would not go to vote, he's still afraid that, okay, maybe the junta can harm, the his family in Myanmar, and even
Mm-hmm.
for himself. He I mean I mean the first thing that is really bad for Myanmar people in Thailand, it means they know nothing about the information. I mean, the embassy or even the Myanmar government, they not inform anything so much about the election. They just say, okay, you have to go to election, but they did not say that what will happen if you not go to election. It mean
Mm-hmm.
we know, right? We know the junta, and they can do anything, like to do the bad thing to the people. So I think many people lack of the confidential, they, okay, in their mind, they think, okay, they don't support the election, but on the another hand, they have to go, they have to vote, because I think it is simple, right, for the people. Safety is simple, not only for them, but for their family as well. And another one point, I think it I had I I talked with the one NGO, it Thai NGO. I think he bring the really, for me, it's good question, that he asked me that if we not accept, or we not, accept or agree with the election, what is the solution? I mean, I heard, like some people say, okay, you should not, participant for the election, but what is the choice for some people, if the election mean is the way to survive for them, for their family? I think some people
Mm-hmm.
don't have so much choice to choose. Some people
Mm-hmm.
just go on the vote because they want themselves and family safe. and
Mm-hmm.
and I think the question it stuck with me, when I have been doing the report. It means when, I heard a lot, okay, we call it the shame election, but the point is, if this is the shame election, what is next? What is the beyond that? We should, I think, beyond, okay, I think it's good campaign that to say this is like shame election, but beyond that, I think we need to find, okay, we know it's the shame election, but what is the solution for the Myanmar people? I mean, yeah, the first solution is mean you need to stop killing people if you want to have the election. This is the first solution, but how about the second choice, what is the way for the Myanmar? Even for me, I think in the article, I could not find the answer. Okay, if we
Mm-hmm.
say we reject the election, what is the solution? What's next? After that,
Yeah.
after we reject the election. And I think the last point, when we talk about human in my story, it it a bit sad and emotion, right? When I think
Mm-hmm.
the one thing keep me have been report about Myanmar situation as I am Thai. I mean, it's about people. And I mean, every time when I talking with Myanmar people, I think what we are talking now, about the election, about the Myanmar people, it's really simple, that people, they just want to have the peaceful life. They doesn't
Yes.
want anything like a really, really beyond or really high standard living. They just want to come back to live in the peaceful life. And but
Mm-hmm.
the point is, the the Myanmar junta, they cannot provide that for the people, and then that's why people have to go out, have to migrate to Thailand. And I think the the one sentence that it like I always remember is from the student from Myanmar. I had been interviewed her, and she told me that like for her life it just stopped from 2019, and after that it just freezing from 2019 because we have COVID, right? And then you have cool, and then I mean as a teenager, as like she are my interviewer, right? It be sad to her that the teenager or the young should have a right to education, to explore the world, to to have the dream. But since then and even now, when Myanmar have election, I don't think this election can bring any hope or any dream for the Myanmar people. Either they live in Myanmar or Thailand, they're still struggling, between in the something that they cannot move on. Yeah.
Okay. Tarushi?
Regarding the human impact, if I'd go on about that, I think what Nadapop said is extremely relevant to both sides of the story. People living inside Myanmar, as well as people who've been forced to leave Myanmar and can never return back. Like the focus, my story begins with the tale of a Rohingya refugee who's been living in Delhi. So for them, it's become very unfortunate in Delhi because 40 of them were thrown into the sea by the Indian government, and they were asked to swim their way to Myanmar. So they were thrown near the Andaman Nicobar Islands and told to make their way wherever they could. So what happened there is that they do not yet have a full report of how many Rohingya refugees who were cast into the sea have, whether all of them have reached Myanmar safely. And this wasn't just a group of men, it had women, it had newborn children, it had toddlers, it had all sorts of people who were living in the sea. So what happened there is that
Tarushi. I'm not sure if it's my internet connection,
of
but
age groups who were focused to consolidate power.
I'm sorry, Tarushi. No, from my end, uh, the signal is not as good. I'm not sure. Natapop, is it similar to you from your end? Yeah, we weren't able to catch what you said because of the internet connection. But can you just, I'm sorry about this. Can you just repeat
No
as
worries.
well?
Okay,
Yeah.
so I was saying that these elections which we are looking at, which are in being conducted in a phased manner, in my opinion, when I look at Rohingya refugees who've been exiled all over the world, also they're not in very primal conditions where they are living across the world. Elections like this become a method just to consolidate power, to tell the world that okay, Myanmar is going for elections, we are peaceful, we are steady, we are stable, we are ready to take on democratic rights and guarantees. However, this sort of a skewered nature is a very telling detail about what all is wrong inside Myanmar right now. What kind of an election happens with only a few districts or villages voting? That is not an
Yes.
election. That is basically an orchestrated exercise to show the world that Myanmar is in peace. See, we're conducting elections. And with Rohingya refugees, many of whom I spoke to, only two of them were willing to give their names. Imagine, even when they're exiled, they do not want to be named. So, that is also a detail of the horrors they have faced and which their community continues to face in Myanmar, outside Myanmar, wherever they are. So, they essentially told me that who are the elections being conducted for? You are detaining people, you are threatening people, you are detaining journalists. Not everyone or anyone is allowed to speak, and yet you're calling it an election, which across the world is known as a festival of claiming accountability from your leaders. So,
Yes.
coming from India, which is like a huge country, and we have the most mammoth elections around the world where you have very decentralized voting. So coming from here, a country in my neighborhood is having elections where we can't even say that half the population is voting, and the other
Mhm.
half which is not voting is not because it doesn't want to vote, it's because it's not allowed to vote. So, who chooses whether this process is democratic? If democracy means every individual has rights, what are we seeing in Myanmar? Is it actually democracy, or is it a form of, say, a very, how should I say, a very orchestrated, very manipulated, very crafted form of show to the world that we are ready to elect leaders who themselves are wiping off their opposition? What kind of elections are these when you are jailing opposition, or canceling the credibility of your opposition by making them re-register? So those are
Mhm.
questions one has while reporting and reading about Myanmar elections.
Mhm. Mhm. Um, I know we've also mentioned as well among the restrictions in Myanmar is of course restrictions to press freedom. While you fellows were not able to report on the ground in Myanmar and reported from your home countries, I just wanted also to know if you encountered any challenges or issues in the course of your reporting about the elections in Myanmar. And can you tell us more about it if you did encounter some challenges? Anyone can take
Do
the
you want me to
question. Not a
start?
pop. Sure. Go ahead, Tarushi.
Okay. So essentially, the biggest challenge is, of course, not being able to visit the field, not being able to talk to people. Because, see, in the international media, if I just Google it, what is the ground sentiment? There is no ground sentiment. How do I come to know the ground sentiment of what an actual mind person living in Myanmar thinks about these elections? So that's number one, not being able to understand something even from a distance because there's no ground coverage or coverage that is very limited. And the second thing, of course, is that I, for one, did not want to give in to the risk of making these elections sound credible,
Mm,
because they are not credible, right? So I did not want to write in a sense that I am, sort of giving the elections credibility, so to say,
yes.
because I am at a distance. I was at a risk of using my information very carefully to report only what is true, credible,
Mm,
verifiable, as well as using, of course, ANFREL data, and of course data from other organizations which can be verified on ground and does
mm,
not make the elections sound larger than they actually are. So this is, I think, something I struggled with, and also approaching the right kind of people who would give balanced reviews of
yes.
what these elections are doing, also having like um, different sections of reviews, for example, the human impact, the geopolitical impact, and also the financial business of why India has been quiet and also why the world's been quiet, and how I don't think there still are any observers, Indian observers in Myanmar for the elections.
Mhm.
I,
Natako.
I think for me the challenge, the first one is about, okay, we start from this is the shame election, but for me I don't want to tell the, I don't want to just like write the word shame election.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to just say, but I want to show like
Mm,
okay, if we know it's shame, how it's shame, like and I think in the first, how can it, first step that I think I thought in the beginning that, okay, I need to show by the human story to show,
mm,
okay, we know it's shame, but how it's shame, okay, talking with the people who affect, talking with the young, with the represent at the NUG to show that, okay, this is something that we cannot accept. We cannot accept the election that try to kill the people. It had, even we I saw, right, the airstyle in around October and November, it higher than the last year. It means you want to, you want to have the election, but in the same time you want to kill more people, so you have the more area to to make the election. I think this is the first one that I, my challenge, that I mean, how can I tell the story by the people, not only like explain the word or define some word. And I think the the second challenge is, even Myanmar. is located in like beside Thailand and India, right? But I do believe if today we go on the public area and we ask the general people about the war going on in the world, I think many of the Thai people, oh, they know really well about Russia and Ukraine war. They know really well about Israel and in the Gaza war. I think they know a lot. But when when we talk about Myanmar, even like Myanmar is the country beside their home, like is the next door. I don't think many of the Thai people they know a lot about Myanmar. They don't know what happened inside. Okay, maybe they know something happened, some conflict happened in Myanmar, but they don't know the history. They don't know the politics, the situation in Myanmar. I do believe it also in the same in India. I believe when I was in Pune city, right? It's near Mumbai. When we have been talking with my friend, and I think many of them they don't know even they don't know the country name Myanmar. They just okay they don't know so much about that country. They know Thailand because the tourism like a country. But
Yeah.
so my point is, I think the first thing, how can I say, besides we want to explain this something difficult, something complicated, right, about the politics, about the election. But I think first, I think we need to highlight or like give the light to the story to let the audience. And for me, my audience, it doesn't mean to have to be someone that they already empathize or like understand the Myanmar situation. But my goal to report about Myanmar situation, I want to bring the new audience, someone who might don't know about anything about Myanmar, someone who not like a professor or NGO, but they are the normal people. Maybe they are the business owner that they have the Myanmar migrant worker in their company. And I think I just want them to understand what happened in the in their staff home, like what happened in Myanmar migrant worker home. I think I try to um, transfer the story from something a bit academic or a bit complicated to let the Thai audience understand what happened in Myanmar. And I I think one how can one attitude that I often use when I report about even Myanmar election or general Myanmar situation. I think even we talking in the different language, right? Okay, we I speak Thai, you speak Burma or Karen or many language in Myanmar. But I think the point as a journalist, as a story, telling that, I think I need to find some common language. Common language, it means the language that no matter what are you come from, like maybe Myanmar, India or Thailand, but you can understand the some feeling, like the feeling to being far from your home, like the feeling of missing the family, or the feeling that you want the freedom, you want the peaceful. Like I think this kind of the language that people, like human being can understand. And this is I think the another like main point of the story I try to bring. And beside that, yet I to be sure that as a journalist we need to balance the sources. But the last thing I when I reported this report, right, I try to find the Myanmar people who support the election. But unfortunately I could not find anyone who say okay, they they think okay, this is a good solution for Myanmar. But we could not find anyone say like that. Yeah, it a bit sad, but we could not find. And in the end, I think my job, I could not judge anything. Even yeah, I could not say that okay, I not have any bias. But in the same time, I also cannot say okay, this is the bad, this is not good. It's not my job to say. I think my job is just talk to as much as people I can and try to balance. And I think just tell the story. And I think the audience, the leader can decide by themselves what are they thinking about the Myanmar election after they finish leading the article.
Mm. I just wanted to echo what Tarushi has said, no, that the reporting of the media has the potential to help legitimize a process if they're not careful with the reporting. But I also wanted to echo what Natapova said about, you know, being able to tell the story from the perspective of people who are going to be affected by the situation, and also to try to balance, as Tarushi also has said, verify information, no? Um, I guess given the situation in Myanmar, I just also wanted to give some credit to organizations that continue to monitor the situation and report on them. Because I know some of independent media organizations in Myanmar have also fled and exiled in other countries, reporting from that from where they sought refuge because of the situation in Myanmar, because they can't really report independently from there. Of course, we would like to give credit as well to people who continue to share information, shed light on what's happening in Myanmar. But then I just wanted to use that as a jump off point to my next question on why do you think it's important to continue to tell the story, particularly the struggle and aspirations of the people of Myanmar for genuine democracy? And how do you think the media can help in shedding light on what's happening in Myanmar? Taroshi.
Okay, so in terms of why we must keep documenting, is because if we do not document this part today that we're living, and when it becomes history, we do not have a very good pattern to understand what the Myanmar junta is trying to do. So if
Mm,
today we sort of give them a leeway to do elections as they're doing, maybe some other part in the world will copy it, they will ape it, right?
mm,
If today Myanmar is allowed to have these kind of elections, tomorrow maybe India apes it, maybe some other Southeast Asian country apes it. Because if there is no news about it, there is no sort of human rights angle about it, if you're letting them go and not documenting what is actually wrong with the whole process, which has been called as the process of the 21st century, the elections, of
mm,
course, then we are basically aiding other countries with the free will to go on with such elections. And
mm,
the other thing I think what media can still do is, on our own, when we're documenting such stuff, it also promotes other people to look into Myanmar. I mean, if
mm,
somebody tomorrow reads another pop story or my story and they realize that this is a country not very far off from our coast and we know nothing about it, right?
mm,
And they start digging, they will realize that they already have like plan or like a textbook case of how to not run a country, or how to spot fascism, how to spot dictatorship in its very how do I say, a very foundational aspect. How do you spot it? How do you check it? And also, it helps policymakers in other countries, and such as, if we can say, European Union, United Nations. Our reports might aid them in the future when they are spotting a similar pattern in South Asia. They have the time to call it out before some other country becomes a Myanmar. That's what I feel.
mm, mm. Natapov.
Okay, I will follow up from Darushi answer. And next month Thailand have election too, and you
Yes.
can imagine, if Myanmar fail, it have a chance that the next country who can fail from the democracy, it can be Thailand, as like
Mm,
we unable. And I think the simple answer that why it's important, I would like to give the answer as a Thai people and come back to
mhm,
the first example. Imagine that now you have your land, right, your home, you live with your family. Okay, your home, it have good economic, you have right, you have food to eat, you have education, you have
mm,
everything, you have peaceful life. But beside your homeland, very near, your neighborhood is on fire. They not have food to eat, right, they not have freedom to speak, they not have
mm,
education. And today some people say, even say to me, and say to the Thai media that, okay, this is not our land, this is not our home. We should not care, or we should not like try to you know participate on what going on in Myanmar. And in the same people who say that we should not ignore what happened in Myanmar, they keep complain about scammer, about drugs, about refugee.
Mm-mm.
How you cannot see the link between these two problems? I mean, as long as Myanmar have a war, Thailand will get a lot of the effect, by first, okay, by the drugs. We have seen the report by UNODC that now, the methamphetamine, the opium, it import a lot to Thailand, from
Mm-mm.
Myanmar, because the armed group, they need the weapon to they need the money to buy the weapon, and
Mm-mm.
then they production the drug, and then they export to Thailand, and who get affected by that drug? It's a Thai teenager, the Thai people, who
Yes.
who 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 addict in the drug. The second, when the war going on, so when our neighbor don't have the normal situation, now you can see the scam business, right? And what happened with the scam
Mm-mm.
business? Their target is not the Myanmar people. Their target is the Thai people. As long as you let the situation in Myanmar getting worse, it means you will get more, like a call center, the scam call center call you, and then like scam money from you. As long as
Mm-mm.
if you still ignore the Myanmar situation, and the last thing, I think it's really simple, and I mean, you cannot avoid the the chaotic, of your neighbor, because in the end, if you try to close your eye, I think in the end the crisis, the problem will be in your home, in your door. And as a Thai people, as a Thai journalist, I don't want to see that day. I think now we still have a time, we still can like change something, can support, or stand with the Myanmar people. And I mean, yeah, I think the the sentence that we want to support, it's simple, right? We just, okay, let the Myanmar people have the peaceful life like before. And I think the last question that you ask, like, how do you think that media can help? I think nowadays, I think the media is really important, and the media, it doesn't mean only the journalists, the media outlets, but I think everyone can be the media, right? As you see in the social media. And
Mm-mm.
I think we still hope, right, that okay, the like the people who are also in they are the media, as they have the social account. I think they can change some situation. At last year, we have seen in Gaza, right? Okay, when the
Yes.
when the people like care about another people in another country, I think you just like maybe share, or like lead something, or you know like do some reaction with the situation that going on in our world, and especially in near your home as a Myanmar. I think this one at
Mm-mm.
least is help. At least Thailand, we have 60 million people, right? And in India we have billion. I mean, imagine if million people like try to care about situation in Myanmar. And we keep the eye on the situation in Myanmar. We keep the eye on when the junta try to extradite the people, try to code the school, try to like have the law that they they train the young people to be the army. I think this one, that something really simple, and I don't think it's like this one is not about politics, to
Mm-mm.
to support the people who have been in the war. I think it's something that is really normal for every human being to support, and to keep the eye on the situation in Myanmar, not only for the election, but I think for after that, we I think we're looking forward to see what will happen after the like phase 3 in 26 January. Like what will happen for the Myanmar politics, and after that, to be sure, it will be affect both sides, like Thailand, or even in India. Yes.
Yes, I just wanted to ride on that last part of your response. No, that at beyond the politics, beyond the economic gains of these countries, of course, the people who are affected here have rights, and we cannot afford to ignore people when their rights are being trampled. So everyone, even countries that are not within the borders of Myanmar should care on what's happening in the country. Just for my final question, no? I was talking to Natapop earlier before we went live that uh, we had two versions of the Myanmar the media fellowship program before, and we usually end it with capstone where we talk to the fellows and get their feedback and their experience as well in the program. And this episode is more similar to that. I guess it's more public undertaking, but I guess for my final question, no. Firstly, I wanted to congratulate the both of you for completing the program. I know it's a shorter version of the fellowship program compared to the first two, but I hope we were able to share some insights and that you were also able to learn a thing or two from it. But just for my last question, can you share with us your takeaways from the Media Fellowship Program?
Okay,
Darushi, can we
okay.
Sorry?
take away from the Media Fellowship Program?
Okay, yeah, so I'm supposed to start, right? So,
Yes.
I think the part I appreciate the most is that while we were working on our own ideas, we actually had very well read and articulate experts to help us throughout
Mm-hmm.
our journeys, right? Like, I personally really enjoyed Joanna's sessions,
Mm-hmm.
and I learned a lot from the way she was looking at elections, because I could really connect with the way she thought about the elections as well as about what it means to report on elections. It's one thing to look at elections, and it's another to report on elections, especially when you're not in the same country where the elections are happening, making it tougher, in fact. So I really enjoyed our sessions, and they were very informative. And also, it's good to actually have mentorship with you guys also reading our drafts and guiding us about what's going wrong and how we can reshape our versions of what we're thinking. And using chunky data, so that I think it really explains our point well, like Natapop
Mm-hmm.
said, using things to tell our story rather than telling our story on our own. So that's where data really helped and experts really helped. And of course, having that sort of a clarity which we had all throughout the 3 months of fellowship, where we were continually guided as to look at different data sets from different organizations, and also understanding how these elections really matter historically, and the kind of
Mm-hmm.
impact they can have on both Southeast Asia and South Asia. So that was something I really enjoyed.
That's good to know. Natapop, you are muted though.
I think that the key takeaway from me as a media, and I think last year we have been into the really tough year, like really difficulty. I think both sides for NGO, for the independent media, to get cut off the funding from the USA, and I think many of us now face the challenge about how can we survive, right,
Mm-hmm.
in last year, and I think it continue in this year. And I think this kind of the program is it, it helpful for the independent media like me, because we are not the commercial, right? So even for me, I am the freelance, so I don't have the organization, and I not get any commercial work. It means my my job, I can say 100% is about like human right, about some social topic. It means I need support, to be honest. Like I need support, like and feel support me, like the workshop and the equipment, to do the story. And I know that this time we everyone be in the very difficult situation,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, but we still need support, and I think we need to find the way together. I think both sides. I I always I mean, for me, I always think the independent media cannot survive alone. We need to
Mm-hmm.
have the alliance, the partnership with the NGO, the academic. We need to work together. I think this is the one thing that I can take away. It means you cannot work alone. You you have to have partner. And I mean, when you have partner, you can do many things more than you work alone. You get the support when you don't know anything. You can ask someone. And another one can give some advice to you. And the last point, I mean, to pass this difficulty time, I think we need to work together and collaboration more. Not only like, okay, when we finish the fellowship and then we finish, I think we need to keep the contact, keep the collaboration, and find a way to work together in the future. And yeah, I mean, now the world is really like chaotic, right? We have seen the conflict around the world. And I think the uh, the role of the NGO and the media is still really more important than before, and we need to work together.
Okay, thank you for that, Natapop and Tarushi. I know I did not coordinate for this edition of um, the Media Fellowship Program. Of course, also congratulations to May for being able to complete and handle the program very well. But then, as you know, Natapov, no, I know the previous fellows, and I can say that to the both of you that you are now part of the ANFREL family, and of course, continue to reach out to us, be in touch when you need anything. We will just be here. So congratulations and thank you again for being part of the program and also for being part of this podcast episode. Um, I would need to remove you from the feed for me to formally close this episode. But again, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, and again, thank you to Natapob and Tarushi for joining us today. That has been the Election Observer podcast episode on reporting the Myanmar junta's staged elections and the challenges journalists face in shedding light on what's happening in Myanmar with our media fellows, the ANFREL media fellows. This episode, as I've said, is co-produced with the ANFREL campaigns and advocacy team. Thank you for partnering with us for this episode. Get the latest news and updates about ANFREL programs and activities to our Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and TikTok pages. You can also subscribe to our YouTube and WhatsApp channels. Please follow the Election Observer podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thank you for joining us again today. Again, this is season 3, 3 seasons. No, please continue to join us for the next episodes. I'm your host, John Antiquera. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.